Today I'm going to be discussing the US Sega Saturn launch games and what I feel are the worst to best. You know, the Sega Saturn had a surprise launch in May 11th, 1995 in the United States. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all 6 launch games that came out for the Sega Saturn in the States. You're going to have your favorites. I know I have mine. This may possibly be a new series, and I love talking about launch games. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this one. Today, I'm going to be capturing footage from the actual discs using original hardware, and I'm connecting my Sega Saturn using the HD Retrovision cables for the Sega Genesis with the Sega Saturn adapter to a RetroTink 5X. There's not a bad game in the launch lineup, but if I'm going to pick my least favorite, it's going to be Pebble Beach Golf Links. Sports games were all the craze of the 90s, so it doesn't surprise me that Sega decided to go with this for launch. And what you have here is a full motion video intro with Craig Stadler giving you some advice. Epic mustache, bud. And this golf game has kind of your standard options. It only has one course. I found the gameplay to be a little bit more challenging than some other golf games, but if you play this and you are a golf fan, you're going to get comfortable with it. I did find it to be just kind of middle of the road. This is just an average golf game with some nice graphics. You know, I think the problem was by the mid-90s, there were so many sports games on the market. You pick any sport and there was dozens of options per sport that you could play. And so this just didn't have a big impact on the Sega Saturn launch. It looked pretty, but it was golf. And I think, you know, it would have had a bigger impact if Sega chose a different sport, but that's just my opinion. This is 6th for me and my least favorite launch title. Next, we have Sega's Worldwide Soccer Sega International Victory Goal Edition, and I like this game. For a sports game, it has some nice options. It was compatible with the 6-player adapter, in which you could play 4 players all at once. And you know, with the movement going towards 3D gaming, Sega wanted to demonstrate what the Saturn was capable of. And I like this one. You know, I played soccer in high school my senior year, and for soccer fans and for a launch title, not bad. This is not FIFA, as FIFA came out later, but you know, for a launch title, I wasn't disappointed with this, but I liked other launch games better. But I did enjoy going back and playing this. I actually had a brand new copy of this game in my collection. I unsealed it and was checking it out, and I would have been satisfied if I picked this up at launch. Did you play this one? Are you a soccer fan? I think this is alright for a soccer game. I enjoyed it. It's got some fast gameplay. It's got some different camera perspectives. It has some instant replay when you score a goal. I like that. Overall, you know, for a soccer game, not bad. I kind of gravitate towards platformers, puzzlers, and arcade games, but you may want to check out this as it's kind of an overlooked launch title. The next game is Daytona USA, and this is a game that I saw in arcades, but often chose other games. As you know, as a kid, I was looking for that game that you could play for 25 cents. So if you're a fan of racing games, this was an early success for Sega. Now, there has been some criticism of this game as it has some graphic issues, clipping, poor draw distance, and it was often compared with the upcoming PlayStation Ridge Racer. And you know, the graphics did not hold up to Ridge Racer, but there was some cool things in this game. You could damage your car. It would show the damage at the time. That was advanced and an advanced feature. There's 2 main modes in this game. There's the arcade version, and then there's a Sega Saturn version, which offers a mirror mode and some additional things. You can choose different cars in the Saturn mode. It did play a little bit different if I remember correctly. And so here is the game, and as you can see, the graphics are just okay. That draw distance, you know, if I played this at launch, I probably wouldn't have cared as much, as this was pretty advanced for the time. But comparing it to the PlayStation, there was some issues. But overall, I think it's middle of the road for launch games. For a racing game, it's pretty solid. And if you're a fan of the arcade game, definitely may want to check out this port. And I think that there's some pretty cool features in this. There's some different perspectives. So there's 4 different camera angles that you can choose. And you know, the biggest gripe for me is that I really wish that this had multiplayer built in. It's just a single player experience, and I think that was a missed opportunity. Another criticism of this game. But you know, you could do much worse, and for a racing game, especially a launch title, it's alright. Sometimes launch games are more of a tech demo to show the capabilities of what a console can do, and that's what I think of Clockwork Knight. Now, I am a platform fan, and you may like this. It's got kind of a unique intro, and you may say, wait a minute, this looks like Toy Story. This actually came out before Toy Story, which is kind of unique, and you are saving Chelsea, and you are a toy. You are Pepper, a toy soldier, going around, taking out enemies, and there are lots of hidden secrets in this game. You can run, jump. Some people criticize the graphics. I thought the graphics were pretty good, and it's just a mix of 2D sprites and 3D backgrounds. There are 13 levels. Now, that is fairly short, but it is a launch game, so I give it some grace on that as well. But if you're looking for a different type of platform game, you may want to check this out. I found myself enjoying this game. I did like its unique premise, and it is worth going back and revisiting this. It is also worth mentioning that there was a Clockwork Knight 2, and it's considered to be better between the 2 games. You may want to also go back and revisit that. Next up is the pack-in that Sega went with the US Sega Saturn. Pretty cool that it had a fold-out poster with the moves of the 8 characters on the back. Gotta love that intro. So, what do I think of Virtua Fighter? It had some flaws. It didn't look great when compared to Battle Arena Toshinden on the PlayStation, but it had it where it counts, and I thought that the gameplay was solid. I really enjoyed playing this. Now, it's a slower 3D fighting game, one of the very first 3D fighting games. It introduced ring outs. I thought that this was a competent fighter. I'm into fighting games. I'm a big fan of the Tekken series, and this is kind of the predecessor to really introducing the mainstream to 3D fighting. Honestly speaking, I first played the 32X version, which many consider to be better. Sega did revise the launch Virtua Fighter, offering initial customers Virtua Fighter Remix as a replacement, addressing some of the issues the initial release had with graphics. Now, I still like this game, flaws and all, and I still think it's one of the better launch titles for the Sega Saturn, and I think it's fun, it's easy to get into, and I still enjoy playing this to this day. My favorite launch game is Panzer Dragoon. I thought this was an incredibly impressive rails shooter. The introduction is actually fairly long and worth looking at, but for a Sega Saturn launch game, very impressive. I love the art visual style of this game. Great music, great gameplay as you are flying on a dragon, and you have offensive and defensive maneuvers that you need to do. So you can lock on enemies up to 8 and you can take them out, but you also can individually shoot things. You have to shoot projectiles, but you can move your direction of your dragon, and that's really important. And so I really enjoyed playing this game back in the day. For those interested, there is a remake of this, and it has more modernized visuals for modern consoles. I like going back to the original, and I think this was definitely the most impressive launch game for the Sega Saturn. I think it's the one that's held up the best. I know there's many fans of the series. There was 3 Panzer Dragoon games made for the Sega Saturn, all individual and own unique qualities, but I like the first one. It's a great on-the-rails shooter and great boss fights. 7 stages, not too long, great to go back and revisit. This one is near and dear to my heart. So what was your favorite game that I shared with you today? Comment below, and as always, thank you for coming to my channel and watching my content. I have several other types of videos. You may want to check out some other content that I've done. And if you haven't already, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Let's keep it positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you have a great day.